Hello my loves, what is up and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. My name's Ella, I am 28, I live in Adelaide with my husband and our two beautiful cocker spaniels. I've got Mabel sitting behind me, she is never far away, she's like permanently attached to me at this point. Yeah, I do a lot of vlogs and lifestyle content as well as budgeting and personal finance videos. I love talking about money. I make a lot of short form personal finance content for Instagram and TikTok, which I love, but there's like only so much I can condense it to a 90-second video. So any opportunity I get to sit down and chat with you guys on YouTube about money and budgeting is like my absolute favorite, and I'm really excited for today's video. I have compiled all of my ultimate favorite saving tips and just like my general savings process into one video. As you can probably tell from the title, I'm going to be talking about how I saved $100,000 in a few years. This was for our wedding and for our house deposit, but I promise you this video isn't going to be like stop buying takeaway coffee, no avocado toast and suddenly you'll be able to own a home. I understand that it's not that easy and we have had a lot of privilege along the way. I think it's really important to like recognize that. People see our finances and see where we're at right now, which we're in such a fortunate financial position. There's no denying that. We don't have to grind nearly as hard as we did 2-3 years ago to save the same amount of money. So we're going to be kind of taking it back, taking a step back in time and reliving those really pivotal years when we were both at the beginning of our careers. And my salary was like $50,000 a year. I actually found my budget from 2021, which has been so interesting to go back and see. Let me know if you guys want to see that video, like comparing my 2021 or 2022 budget with now and seeing how our financial priorities and our spending has changed. I found it so fascinating. Anyway, hopefully this is helpful for anyone that is in that season, whether you're saving for a house, a wedding, trying to pay off debt, or you're just trying not to live paycheck to paycheck. Here are some of my favorite ways to save money and just our whole money saving process. First things first, I thought I would provide a bit of context and just talk about our motivation behind saving $100,000. It was never the intention to save $100,000, but we simultaneously wanted to pay for our wedding and not go into debt for that. And then during that process also buy a house. And that ultimately came to around $100,000. At the time, income wise, Nick was at the beginning of his career. I think this is a really big misconception that lawyers make bank money, which can definitely be the case, especially if you've been in the industry for years. But like any job, like when you're just starting out, you have to do the not so fun jobs and the lower paying jobs. You don't instantly graduate from law school and are suddenly rolling in money. It also totally depends on what kind of law you choose to go into. There's some that pay a lot higher than others. And I actually found my offer letter. I was working as a customer service specialist for an insurance company. And I think this went up slowly, but when I initially signed my contract, my salary was $51,987. I was there for 2 years. I think by the end of it, I was probably on like 55,000, 56 maybe. And then I took a very similar paid job as a accounts receivable officer. I was there for 6 months. That was for like a small business, ended terribly. So yeah, my income was like the $55,000 mark. I think when it comes to saving money or paying off debt or just like getting ahead financially, I think it's so important to get clear with your goals. You might not want to hear this, but not setting goals is losing you money. Sorry. Hate to say it. If you find yourself constantly transferring money into your savings account to then just transfer it back and spend it on something else, then maybe you're saving for the wrong reasons. I think really getting clear with your goals and making sure they align with you, not aligning with societal expectations or what your friends are doing, what your family thinks you should be doing, but things that you actually care about. I think having that why and keeping that why at the center of everything you do is the only thing that will keep you motivated. If it doesn't give you that fire in your belly and you don't care about it, then you're not going to want to save. So like really dig deep and figure out what it is you care about and what you actually want to save your money for. Or if you're trying to pay off debt, look at the long-term implications of not paying off that debt. I'm going to accrue $50,000 worth of interest if I don't pay off this personal loan. What can I do with that extra $50,000? I think just really getting clear with your goals and keeping your why at the center of everything you do is really what keeps you going. That's like the motivation, or at least it was for me. Also keeping track of your goals and setting small achievable goals that you can do every single month or every single week, every payday, whatever it might be. It might not seem like you're getting anywhere fast, but when you look back in like a year's time, all of those little mini goals that you've set for yourself is what helps you achieve that greater goal. I use the Co-Plenty goal and a habit tracker. You can actually buy it with the budget spreadsheet I use and like bundle it together if you want to save money. I always have that link down below, but that's my favorite way to track my daily habits and my monthly goals. Establishing your why, keeping it at the center of everything you do. Anytime you go to spend money, asking yourself, do I really need this? Is this going to get me any closer to my goals? I think if your why really aligns with you, you just automatically don't want to spend money on anything else because you're so focused and are so purposeful in everything that you're doing. Like you would so much rather achieve that goal and make that a reality that the thought of spending money on anything else just like doesn't appeal to you, or at least that's what I found. Also build an emergency fund. I think this is something that is often really overlooked in the personal finance space. It's all about paying off debt and saving, getting into the property market, investing. Like those are all great things. But I think before you do anything else, I think it's so important to establish and build an emergency fund. I think $1,000 emergency fund is a really good place to start. And then from there, building up to 3 to 6 months worth of living expenses. This is just all of your essentials. So none of that fun spending. If worse comes to worse and you were out of work for 3 months, what are your essential things that just like have to be paid? Your mortgage, your rent, bills, groceries, petrol, any debt. Just looking at those minimum expenses and timesing that by 3 to 6, I think is a good amount. Establishing an emergency fund before you start with those lofty savings or debt payoff goals is so important. It gives you a cushion for any unexpected costs that might come up, and then it prevents you from dipping into your savings. It just keeps that motivation going, and it means that you're not backtracking or going to further debt, and honestly gives you the confidence. It really gives you that confidence and that motivation. I think it's really important to have that cushion for anything that might pop up, because who knows? Who bloody knows? Next is to figure out a budgeting system. I will shout this from the rooftops to the day I die. There is nothing more beneficial than tracking your spending, your income, and where your money is going. I am personally a big proponent of tracking every single dollar. I like to work off a zero-based budget and manually track every single dollar. I know some people think it's really tedious. It can be, but if you're updating it daily, it's like a few minutes out of your day and it will hold you so much more accountable. Every time I go to put something into my budget spreadsheet, it really forces me to reflect and reevaluate and be like, was this an essential purchase? Did this bring me value? Like, does this align with my values and my money goals right now? Or even making a purchase, I'll be like, oh, I've got to put this in my spreadsheet. I'd rather not, you know? But just figuring out a budgeting system that works for you. I know the spreadsheet that I use isn't for everyone. I do love it. And I know a lot of you guys love it, which makes my heart so happy. I always have a link down below. I use the 2.0 version, whether it's that spreadsheet you use or someone else's, or if you choose to use an app that tracks everything automatically for you, whatever works, but just tracking in some capacity, I think is so important in figuring out a budgeting system that works for you. Not even budgeting in like the traditional sense. I feel like budgeting sounds so restrictive, but just tracking your money and where it's going. Because those $5, $10 purchases, I feel like people think on the daily like, oh, it's a $5 coffee, it doesn't matter. Oh, it's only a $20 subscription every month. Yes, it's not a lot of money, but those little purchases are what add up over time and are really what create room in your budget for extra savings. And like I said, I like to work off a mostly zero-based budget, which means every dollar has a purpose. Every dollar has a role and a job. And sometimes that role is purely for fun spending. I think it's important to have room in your budget for that fun spending. I don't think it's realistic to never spend a single cent on anything other than debt payoff or saving, which kind of leads on to my next point, which is to keep your budget realistic. It might sound kind of productive, but allowing room in your budget for fun stuff, the things that you value, whether that's going out for brunch with your partner or getting a glass of wine with the gals, maybe like getting your nails done, creating room in that budget for those fun things, and then cutting back on everything else. I don't think you have to punish yourself in order to pay off debt or get ahead financially. Being over restrictive with your budget, it's kind of similar to like dieting, like doing a crash diet. It never works. Being too restrictive with your budget is just going to cause you to slip up, feel like a flop, and then give up entirely until you repeat the same cycle. So keep it realistic, like actually assign a job for every single dollar that you make. If you can and you are in the position to have some fun money, I think it's really important. Even if it means you're a little bit slower reaching your financial goals, you don't want to completely burn out and just hate the whole process, hate your life. And obviously this goes without saying, I'm not talking to those that are in financial hardship and can't afford to put food on their table or keep a roof over their head. I feel like that goes without saying. It would be so ignorant of me to be like, make sure you have room in your budget for fun things. I mean, hopefully some of these tips are helpful for anyone in any kind of position, but I think if you're already in that kind of financial hardship, you tried nearly everything, this is more so for those people that feel like they're out of touch with their money or just they can't quite get ahead with their savings, or you're llooking to save even more money. After you've saved your emergency fund and set up your budget, I'd really recommend minimizing your debts as much as possible. This is not financial advice. So this might not be applicable for everyone, but if you have credit card debt or like a personal loan, that is just accruing interest, unnecessary interest. Financially and mathematically, it makes more sense to pay off those debts first. Also practically, if you're trying to buy a house, they look at those things like afterpay debt, personal loans, car loans, and that all affects your borrowing power. So if that's a goal of yours, it's something I'd really look into. There's two main debt payoff strategies. The first one is debt avalanche, which is paying off the highest interest debt first. So if you have a credit card with an interest rate of 20% versus your car loan with 5% interest rate, tackling the highest interest first. Or there's the debt snowball strategy, which is paying off the smallest debt first for that motivation and then like snowballing from there. So you tackle the first one, say you have $1,000 credit card bill, paying that off first, and then tackling your $5,000 car loan. There is something to be said for the psychology behind that and just that satisfaction and getting that motivation, that little dopamine hit. In terms of our savings strategy, so at the moment we keep everything in our offset account. We are homeowners now and we have a variable interest rate, so our offset account attaches to our mortgage. Offset accounts I don't think are a universal thing, but here in Australia, say you have a $500,000 mortgage and you have $100,000 sitting in your offset account, interest is only charged on $400,000. So it makes the most sense for us, especially while interest rates are quite high, to keep as much money in our offset account. We're also not in that season of paying for a wedding or really saving for anything in particular. So the more money we keep in our offset, the better. But while we were buying a house and saving for a wedding, we kept everything in a high interest savings account. There's so many different options. There's a lot of really great comparison websites where you can compare different interest rates across different banks. One thing I keep an eye out for is fees. If there's any like monthly fee associated, and if there's like a bonus interest. So for us, I forget what it was exactly, but something like a 3% interest rate, but then you got a bonus 1.5% if you added like $2,000 every month. They're all very different. So just do your research. Another saving strategy, and this is one that I lived by when we were saving, is to utilize automated transfers. We had this set up every payday. We would get paid into our main account, and then automated transfers would come out for our rent, our bills, and our savings. So we didn't even have to think about it. We had a minimum savings that we wanted to save every single month, and they would automatically come out. Even better, if you really have no self-control and you're just going to transfer it right back out, is to keep everything in a separate account, one that you don't have on your phone, you don't have access to. That way you can't see it, you're not tempted. Also, labeling your accounts, I feel like that's really overlooked. This might sound so stupid, but there's something so emotional about labeling your account wedding fund, Europe 2026. It just creates like so much more emotional connection. Also, sinking funds, you guys know I'm a big proponent of that. It's really only something I started doing religiously this year, but it has been a game changer for our spending and our savings. It really takes out a lot of that guilt around spending money. We have a sinking fund for Christmas, birthdays. We have a bills account which acts as a sinking fund, so when those big quarterly or annual bills come out, the money's just sitting there. There's no surprises. It just takes out all of the surprise element. You know those expenses are going to come up. You know Christmas comes around every single year. You might tell yourself, I'm not going to spend as much money on Christmas, but you do. That's why I love tracking what I spend, because I can go back and look. Last year I spent $1,000 on presents across all of our family and friends. I know I need to save, $85 a month in order to not stress about Christmas time. Now let's talk about impulse spending, because I think this is something that people really struggle with. If you found that this is something that gets in the way of you reaching your financial goals, putting at least 24, if not 48 hours between yourself and making a purchase. So say I'm like scrolling on the Iconic, for example, which I often do, and I see a pair of shoes, I'm like, oh, I love those. Yes, I have the money sitting in my account, but am I just buying them because they're 30% off? Do I really need those shoes? Or am I just wanting to make that purchase because it's on sale, because I'm feeling sad, I'm feeling anxious? Putting some time between as like a cooling off period will really help you establish whether or not it was an impulse purchase or if it's something that you really want and actually value. Another great way to save money, you guys have seen me do this time and time again, is to do a no spend challenge. I love a no spend challenge. I don't think I could do it for an entire month. I think I've attempted that and it's not gone all that well, but a week, like a no spend week, we try and do them once a month, because not only are we saving money, but it also really forces you to slow down and reevaluate your spending habits. It curbs a lot of that habitual spending and just like completely resets your spending habits. I always come away after that no spend week just feeling really realigned with myself and how much I tap that card. I wish we'd done more of that in our grinding era. Another way to save money, and I feel like this one is often overlooked, but I always get questions whenever I show our monthly bills, is how we spend so little on electricity. In full transparency, and this is something to be aware of, there's only 2 of us. We don't have children at the moment. I'm sure this will change in the future, but for right now we just have to consider ourselves and our own comfort. And in the winter time, we don't touch the heating. We would rather just like bundle up. We have beautiful big windows, a lot of natural lighting. I am allergic to overhead lighting, so we basically live our life with one singular lamp. And if we do have the overhead lights on, we are in a new build and we chose the light bulbs, they're energy efficient ones. All of our appliances, we did a lot of research on, they're energy efficient as well. And yeah, we really just like try and avoid using the air conditioner or heater as much as possible, because that really helps save a ton of money. Something that we've always done and still continue to do, even now we can pay for things full price. I refuse to. Obviously there's some things that just like never go on sale, but groceries, I love a special. I will hunt for the specials. I will plan my meals for the week around the specials. Shopping for seasonal fruits and veggies. I'm not buying raspberries when they're out of season and they cost $10 a punnet. Like, I love raspberries, but it's just not essential. I can choose another fruit or vegetable option. Yeah, always shopping the sale section, just like not giving into instant gratification. I know a lot of you guys, I get this tip all the time, is to do delivery or like pick up so you're not tempted by unnecessary purchases. I think that's a really good idea. If you find yourself perusing the grocery store and accidentally make extra purchases every single week, then maybe consider doing like pickup or delivery. I'm personally just of the mindset, like, I just don't want to pay for something full price, and I'm not going to give in to that instant gratification, even if I want it so bad. Like a chocolate bar, for example, $3 full price, not on special, but I know next week it's going to be half price. I'm making the most of those specials as well. If there's something that you use every single week, stocking up on it. Don't be afraid. It might cost you more this week, but it's going to save you more money in the long run. And same goes for clothing and makeup. I buy all of my favorite makeup products from Priceline when they're having the half price makeup sale. I'll wait for their skincare sale if I need to get anything. If there isn't a sale on or something doesn't go on sale, finding a discount code. Shopback. Love Shopback. I work with them a lot on my Instagram, but I've been using them for years and they're honestly the best. Honestly the best. I'll have a link down below if you do want to sign up to them, and if you haven't tried them, but it's literally cashback, like real life money. I can attest, it's been debited into my account many a times. Real life money that you get for online shopping that you'd otherwise already be doing. I use it a lot, especially when I'm booking travel or if I'm making a bigger purchase, but even those little purchases, it all adds up. I've had a lot of DMs from you guys as well saying you use it for your grocery shopping, which is amazing. So when you're doing your delivery or online order using Shopback, and it's like the easiest thing ever. You literally just click on the app, choose where you want to shop through, and it takes you directly to the website, but in the background it's tracking the cashback and there's like no strings attached. I often wondered how it actually worked. Like, I got the money in my account. This was before I started working with them. I got the money in my account, but I was like, how does this benefit anyone? I'm getting free money for shopping, but basically the brands give a commission to Shopback and then Shopback share a portion of that commission with you. So yeah, love Shopback. This isn't sponsored, but I do work with them a lot on my Instagram, and you can get cash back on your groceries, which is amazing. In terms of things we cut out from our budget completely during our savings era was no Uber Eats. I just don't think it's necessary. Those fees just add up so fast. The delivery fee, the service fee, as well as the restaurants upping the price. Like, they up the price on Uber Eats. I remember when I worked at Hungry Jack's and we would have, what was it, Deliveroo or one of those delivery services, and the prices on those delivery websites are a lot higher than what you would get in store. This might hurt to hear, but if you are trying to save money or pay off debt, you are not paying for convenience. That is a privilege that you cannot afford right now. It hurts. It does. Also, no beauty appointments. That's something I completely cut out. Apart from my nails, I was getting my nails done because I was, you know, in my bridal era. But after the wedding was all said and done, I did not get my nails. Actually, even before, because I was allergic, which is a great and easy way to cut out any kind of beauty treatment. I had my eyelashes done for a long time. I cut those out when we were trying to save. No waxing appointments, no laser. Trying to find alternatives if you can do your own nails at home. If that is something that is really a core value of yours though, that's where that value spending comes in, and allowing room in your budget for those things. Cutting back on other things that you maybe don't care about. Like, I really enjoy coffee. I love going and trying new coffee shops, and that's like really important to me. So I will create room in my budget for coffee and cut out any beauty appointments because it's just not something that I care about too much. It's all about value spending, and everyone's going to value different things. So you don't have to justify it to anyone. Also, regularly auditing your subscriptions. I feel like something can really sneak up on you. You might sign up for a free month with a streaming service and then suddenly you're paying for 5 of them. There's only so much TV you can watch at a time, so trying to stick to one streaming service at a time. We didn't have Spotify, or we had Spotify with ads when we were in our savings era, so that was a sacrifice we made. Apple charges, I think that's a really big one. Those like random little $15, $20 Apple charges that pop up every now and then. It's like, but where the hell has this come from? There's a really easy way to see those subscriptions. So going to the App Store, clicking in the right hand corner and going to subscriptions, and it will show you all the current subscriptions you have and when they're due to come out. So definitely recommend doing that. Now, cutting out those things isn't going to instantly afford you a house, but I think one thing that's constantly overlooked is those small little $5, $10 purchases, but those are really what create room in your budget and really add up over time. For example, one switch we made was to go to Netflix with ads, which is $10 a month instead of $20. That's $10 every single month that we're saving, $120 a year. Might not sound like a lot, but that's an extra $120 that can go straight towards our savings or straight towards paying off our house. And that's just one example. Like, if you made that across several, that adds up. It adds up over time, and hopefully with regular savings that you're already making, it can just slowly inch you closer and closer to reaching those goals. And ultimately, when all else fails, as great as these different tips and tricks and savings hacks and the strategy and systems you can put into place, the spreadsheets that you can use, as great as that all is, there's only so much you can cut from your budget. There's only so much you can save. And I think if you want to achieve your financial goals quicker, you have to increase your income. This doesn't just mean like starting social media. I feel like that's such a common one, and I mean, it's worked out great for me and has ultimately become my full-time job and I love it. But social media isn't the only way to make money, and thankfully we're in this day and age where there are so many possibilities. There's so many different side hustles. There's people that literally create content on starting side hustles and like how to establish yourself. There's digital marketing, there's online surveys. That's the thing, I forgot about that. I used to do that all the time when we were in our savings era. My favorites are octopus surveys, or that's the one I used to use. I don't really do it anymore, but I always have that one linked down below. But there's people that literally create content on side hustles. I'll have a couple of my favorite creators down below that cover a lot of those topics. Or maybe if you have a skill or a hobby that you can scale up and sell a product, whatever it might be. I mean, not everything has to be monetized, and I think it's important to have hobbies as well, but like, if it's for a season, maybe, like if that's the way to make extra money. Selling things on Facebook Marketplace, that was one of my favorite things to do back in the day. Nick took up cricket coaching. He made an extra like $1,000 that we put straight towards our wedding. All of those little things add up so much. Or even upskilling in your current position, furthering your education, or just anything to like increase that income is going to propel your savings or your debt payoff even faster. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that we did. Coffee Friday, that was a big one for us. I don't know if you guys have been following me that long, but I used to post on my Instagram story every Friday we would go and get coffee. Like, you guys know me, I love a takeaway coffee. But we were grinding so hard and we were so set on these goals that we limited ourselves to only buying coffee once a week on a Friday. There was so much build up, so much anticipation. You could do the same with takeaway, maybe do it once a week, once a fortnight. Just like little ways to make cutting out things from your budget a little bit more fun. One thing as well that I think we did really well with was to keep our money goals realistic and to find ways within those money goals to save even more money. So like our wedding, for example, we could have spent so much more money than we did, but we did a lot of DIYs. We found different hacks and ways to save money during the wedding process, which I've covered a lot on my Instagram and TikTok. Same with the house buying process. We sat down with a broker several years before we were ready to buy a house and work through our options. We decided to build and rent for a few more years because it was more cost effective than buying an established house. Like all those little things, ways that we could put more money into the house and things that we could add on to our build that would increase the value. Maybe it was more upfront, but it would earn us more money in the future. For a while, we had a car loan, and before we took on that car loan, we looked at all of our different loan options. We chose one that was an 8-year loan, but there was no admin fee, no early exit fee. It was like a 5% interest rate, which was really good at the time. And we took on an 8-year loan just in case our financial circumstances changed. It meant our monthly repayments were a lot smaller, and then we could just throw extra money on it. And we paid it off in a year and a half rather than 8 years. Anyway, I think that's all from me, but I would love to know in the comments some of your favorite ways to save money, things that you do in your everyday life or things that you've done in the past, how you've achieved your goals quicker. I feel like if we can just spread the love, spread the knowledge, we can all get where we want to be faster, right? But thank you guys so much for watching. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're not already, follow me over on my Instagram and TikTok as well, and I'll see you guys very soon for another video. Bye guys.